Hey everyone, Luke here, dietitian from Active Health Clinic. Today I wanted to jump on quickly and talk a little bit about lactose intolerance. Now, many of my patients have come to me and talked to me about the way that they've sort of approached their lactose intolerance, and they use words like lactose is bad for me, it's dangerous, it's harmful. And I guess I wanted to get on here today and really clarify what lactose is doing in the body when you have a lactose intolerance, why it can hurt, or there can be some other symptoms, and really just help people to understand that using words like dangerous is probably not the right way to put it. So basically, lactose intolerance is where you consume foods, dairy foods particularly, that are high in lactose, and they might be milk or yogurt or soft cheeses or ice cream, and you get gut symptoms afterwards. But they're not an allergic type symptom, so this is not talking about a dairy allergy or indeed a lactose allergy, which a very small percentage of people can have. This is simply an intolerance, and basically why it's happening is because the gut doesn't have enough lactase enzyme or its variants to digest and process the lactose and break it down into smaller molecules before it enters your small intestine. So when the lactose gets to your small intestine, it is consumed by the gut bacteria. These gut bacteria love short-chain fatty acids. It's not short-chain fatty acids, short-chain carbohydrates, fermentable carbohydrates. They love breaking them down and consuming them. And when they consume them, they produce hydrogen and methane gas as a byproduct of that. Now, that gas gets transported through your system, through your gut, and gets released at the exit point, if you will, and we all know what that actually sounds like or looks like. Hopefully it doesn't look like anything. We all know what that sounds like and maybe smells like. In the interim, before it actually gets to the exit point, it's sitting in your bowel, and your bowel will stretch and move to accommodate for its contents, whether that be stool or whether it be gas. However, the bowel has a couple of parameters that it likes to sit within in each individual, and when it's stretched outside of those parameters, it gets really uncomfortable. And there are lots of little nerve endings that line the inside of your bowel. So if the bowel gets stretched beyond the parameters that it likes, these nerve endings, they don't really love that. So they send messages to your brain to say, hey, brain, the bowel's been stretched a little bit too much. We actually know it's as a result of this food that we've consumed, and you know the small intestine has made into gas for us, and we don't really love that. So we want it to stop. So could you please tell the human that's controlling this body to stop eating that food? The brain will go right, and then we get things like pain or nausea, maybe some bloating, excess gas production, as I was talking about before, or maybe even changes in the way your bowels move, so some constipation or some diarrhea. It can swing either way for different people. And that's basically the story of lactose intolerance and how it produces symptoms. Now, note in that I didn't say there was any damage to the bowel, or there was any structural or change to the way that the bowel operates. Okay, so we're not causing any inflammation by doing this. We're not actually harming the bowel or the body by consuming this food. We're simply getting a nervous system response to the irritation that those nerve endings are receiving because of the stretching or the movement of the bowel, which can happen with many other foods as well, or if we simply eat too much sometimes. It will, of course, be a little bit different and look a little bit different in those situations. But for each individual person, this is why someone can go ahead and eat lactose as much as they want. One person can and have none of these symptoms, and the person next to them cannot do that because the nervous system in each individual is responding very differently. And this is why we see a lot of these types of intolerances in individuals with these invisible illnesses. Now, it's not a prerequisite. You don't have to have food intolerance if you are an individual who lives with an invisible illness, but you are more likely to get them. And there are a couple of ways we can deal with that. We can modify the food and the way that the nervous system is actually feeling the effects of that food and the food's digestion in the gut, Or we can modify the way that the nerves actually send those signals to the brain, and indeed the way the brain interprets those signals and then sends a response back to the body. And we like to do both of those things here, because if we can keep you eating as wide a variety of food as possible while getting some symptom control in, then that is the win-win scenario for us. Unfortunately, with lactose intolerance, sometimes we have to continue eating non-lactose foods or lactose-free variants of foods, as this can be a little bit more of an enzymatic issue, which means we don't actually have enough of the product to digest and process the thing, and that's why it's causing these irritations on the back end. But ideally, with some other intolerances that we have, we can do this top-down and bottom-up process, and that can really help us with what's going on. So I hope that's been insightful for you today. I would really appreciate if you have any questions, feel free to send them through to us. And if you think that intolerance is something that you're dealing with and you want to get a hold of in this new year, then feel free to drop us a line, and one of our dietitians would be more than happy to help you with that. As usual, take care and happy eating.